Hey, back at it again. Hi, my name is Lesejo, and if you don't know, I practice astrology, I practice tarot as well as other esoteric practices, and I'm all about using these practices to help you consciously engage with your day-to-day life. Right. So today, what we're going to be talking about is the solar eclipse in Aries, right? So I'm going to start off by saying that I think what's interesting about these eclipses is that, and why I say eclipses is because it's eclipse season, which is what we're in. What is really interesting about them is that both of them are traditionally ruled by Mars, which is in Cancer, right? And specifically the solar eclipse in Aries, right, is at 29 degrees. So that's a very critical degree. Now, with the whole Mars in Cancer energy, in my head, I'm like, you know what, I can already tell this energy is going to take its time. You know, it's going to feel things out. Like, as much as we can get a lot of insights during solar eclipses, during lunar eclipses, this is energy that takes its time to manifest over a period of 6 months. You know what I mean? So yes, like the day of the eclipse is happening, is booming, but it's a story that is unfolding over time. And I think that's one thing we also need to remember with the planets, with astrology, with anything that we engage in is, yes, that day nothing might happen, something might happen, but if you look back 6 months later, what has changed? What have you started, and what has been growing ever since that time of the eclipse? You know, so really asking yourself these questions during that time, I feel like would be monumental, right? Okay, so if I'm looking down, right, I am looking at my notes and I'm looking at the chart, right, which now I'm back at it. Okay, first things first, the aspects the moon is making during this time, right? So I can already tell the moon is square to Pluto, the moon is conjunct, quite a big conjunction with Jupiter, and also the sun is square to Pluto, right? So we can already see that emotionally this might be a very trying month emotionally. This is a very trying solar eclipse, right? Might be slightly triggering, slightly uncomfortable, right? But I think trying to see the positive, you know, using that Jupiter energy to get you through it and being like, you know what, at least 1, 2, 3 is working out. Because when Pluto is kind of poking at those sensitive aspects of ourselves and the sun is involved in this, there is kind of this thing of not really wanting to see these situations, not really wanting to see the house of Aries, where 29 degrees of Aries is, as critical, right? How is that area within your life, wherever that falls in your chart, critical, right? So if I'm giving an example, let's say 29 degrees is within your first house. Like, how are you engaging with your life? How are you engaging with yourself? Is it at a good point? Is there any changes that need to occur? And the reason why this I feel like is important, right, to mention, is that Mercury is kind of within this conjunction, not kind of, it's conjunct Uranus, right? So we are really seeing that this is a time for new ideas. Yes, it might be emotionally uncomfortable, but this is a time to use these uncomfortable moments to start to spur yourself forward. I'm kind of busy. I'll be there in a second. What am I saying? Using this to spur yourself forward, right? And using the ideas that pop up to spur yourself forward, because it's very, very important that you try to use a different perspective. When you're kind of looking at the interactions of Jupiter and of Mercury, you do want to have a perspective shift, or at least you would like to start thinking about wanting to have a perspective shift, right? So let me just check my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. think I got everything. Anyways, I hope that this video helped and that you're not too spooked by the eclipse. Like, eclipses aren't that hectic. I mean, they can be, you know, and I feel like in this day and age we kind of like put a magnifying glass on like eclipses, on like Mercury retrograde, but sometimes it's not even that hectic. It really isn't. Like, it's you're okay. Like, if nobody told you today, I'll tell you, you're okay and you're doing great.